Hey everyone, and welcome back. Today we're going to do a deep dive into this new cancer treatment called Amatuximab. It's showing some really promising results for fighting certain cancers like mesothelioma and ovarian cancer.
And what's really cool about Amatuximab is that it uses a really targeted approach. I mean, it's not like chemo where it just attacks all rapidly dividing cells. It's what we call a monoclonal antibody.
Oh, so it's not just like, carpet bombing the body with all those harsh chemicals.
Exactly. It's almost like a microscopic guided missile. It's engineered to just lock onto a specific target on cancer cells. And that's essentially what a monoclonal antibody like Amatuximab does. And its target is this protein called mesothelin.
Okay, so mesothelin is the bad guy here.
Yeah, you could say that. I mean, mesothelin is just found in way higher amounts on certain cancer cells compared to healthy cells.
Hmm.
We're talking about things like mesothelioma, ovarian, pancreatic, and even some lung cancers.
And all this stuff is from Genie, right, the scientific research company.
Right.
They're pretty excited about amituximab's potential to just disrupt the growth and spread of these cancers by just zeroing in on mesothelin.
Yeah, and their excitement is definitely warranted. But maybe we should back up a little bit and give everyone a little bit more context.
Okay, yeah, sure.
So Amatuximab wasn't always called that. It was originally called Emarab-009.
Emarab-009.
Yeah, and it was developed by this company called Morphotek. And what's more, the FDA has actually granted Amatuximab Orphan Drug Designation for treating mesothelioma.
Orphan drug designation. Huh. That sounds pretty important.
It is. So mesothelioma is a pretty rare type of cancer. It affects about 3,000 people in the U.S. every year. And this designation, it basically recognizes that there's like a huge need for new treatments for these less common diseases. And get this designation can actually fast-track drug development and incentivize companies to invest in more research.
Wow.
Which is good news for patients because it means there's a better chance of seeing these like potentially life-saving treatments get to the people who need them way sooner.
So it's not just about the science. It's about getting these treatments to the people who need them.
Exactly.
That's really encouraging. But okay, how does it actually work? How does amituximab actually fight cancer?
Well, it all boils down to that mesothelin target, right? So Amatuximab binds to it like a key in a lock.
Oh, so it's like a homing beacon. It finds the mesothelin and just latches on.
Pretty much. And this binding has like a couple of major consequences for the cancer cells. First, it blocks mesothelin's interaction with another protein called CA125.
CA125.
Yeah. So normally this interaction helps cancer cells stick together and spread. But by disrupting it, Amatuximab can actually slow down tumor growth, and it can even keep those cancer cells from migrating to other parts of the body.
Oh, so it's like cutting off communication between the troops, preventing them from coordinating the attack.
Yeah, that's a good analogy. And there's a second way it attacks, too. When Amatuximab binds to mesothelin, it's kind of like it puts this giant eat me sign on the cancer cell for the immune system.
Whoa. So it's not only stopping the cancer cells from spreading, it's also calling in reinforcements to come take them out.
Exactly. By flagging those cancer cells, it's basically letting our own natural defenses recognize and destroy them. It's like a double whammy, disrupting tumor growth directly and then calling in the immune system for backup.
That's pretty ingenious. So it sounds like this approach would be especially effective for those cancers where mesothelin is like really expressed, like the ones we talked about before, mesothelioma and ovarian cancer.
Absolutely. And the research seems to back that up. But it might not be just limited to those two. The article even mentions some potential applications for pancreatic and lung cancers, too. And that could be huge, considering how common those types of cancer are.
Yeah, definitely. This is all sounding really promising. But before we get ahead of ourselves, it's important to remember that amituximab is still in clinical trials, right?
That's right. While the early data is really exciting, we still need more research to fully understand just how effective and safe it is.
So what are the researchers focusing on with these trials?
Well, they're mainly looking at two things: safety and effectiveness. They want to make sure that it's well tolerated by patients and doesn't cause any serious side effects. And then, of course, they need to confirm that it actually does what it's supposed to, which is to shrink tumors and help people live longer.
Of course. Have there been any positive signs so far? Any indication that it's actually working like it's supposed to?
Yeah, actually, there have been. Early studies have shown tumor stabilization and even longer survival in patients who were treated with amituximab, especially when it was combined with standard chemotherapy. It seems to be working really well together with existing treatments, boosting their effectiveness.
That's really good news. Sounds like we're on the right track here. But let's maybe shift gears a bit. The article mentioned something about a biosimilar of Amatuximab.
Oh yeah, that's a really interesting part of the research. So biosimilars are basically almost identical copies of the original biologic drug, like Amatuximab. It's like a generic version of a brand name drug, you know? They work the same way, but they're cheaper to make.
Okay, so I'm starting to see where this is going. Cheaper to produce means.
It's more accessible for research. Genie, the company we've been talking about, they actually offer an Amatuximab biosimilar. This lets scientists experiment more, test different doses and combinations without spending a ton of money.
Oh, so this biosimilar is like a key that unlocks all these new research possibilities.
Exactly. They can really dive deep into how amituximab works, maybe find new treatment combinations, and even discover completely new applications for it.
So this could lead to better treatments for patients, and it helps us understand cancer even better.
Absolutely. It's a win-win situation.
I love it when it's win-win.
Yeah.
This is all so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's really amazing to see how much progress we're making in the fight against cancer. But I bet our listeners are super eager to hear more about those clinical trials and what's next for Amatuximab. So we'll go deeper into all that after a quick break. Stay tuned.
Sounds good.
All right, we're back. We're talking all about Amatuximab. Before the break, we were talking about some of the really promising early results coming out of those clinical trials. It sounds like this drug could really, change the game for people battling those certain types of cancer, right?
Yeah, I think the potential is definitely there. But, like with any new treatment, there are still a few questions and challenges, to think about. For instance, one of the biggest things with any kind of targeted therapy is making sure that it actually hits the right target, without causing too much damage along the way.
Yeah, you don't want this microscopic guided missile kind of going off course and hitting, healthy cells.
Exactly. Researchers are always watching for that in the clinical trials. They evaluate the safety of amituximab really carefully.
So what have they seen so far? Are there any, red flags in terms of side effects?
Actually, the good news is that amituximab seems to be pretty safe. Most of the side effects that have been reported from the trials have been pretty mild or moderate, like fatigue, nausea, and maybe some skin reactions. It's pretty normal for cancer treatments.
Okay, so nothing too crazy or unexpected. That's good.
Right. But even though those common side effects seem, manageable, we always have to remember that everyone reacts to meds a little differently.
Oh, for sure.
And researchers are keeping a close eye out for any of those rare but potentially serious side effects. That's why those clinical trials are so important. It gives us that valuable data on how well the treatment works, but also how safe it is.
Yeah, there's a lot of careful work going on behind the scenes, huh?
Absolutely. And besides just looking at side effects, researchers are also trying to figure out what makes amituximab work better for some people than others.
Okay, so why might it be more effective for some and not others?
Well, one of the big factors is how much mesothelin is expressed in their tumors. Basically, the more mesothelin there is, the more spots there are for amituximab to bind to and do its job.
So more mesothelin equals more success.
Well, in theory, yeah.
Well,
But it's not just about the amount, it's also about access.
access. What do you mean by that?
Well, where the tumor is, and what it's like can actually impact how well amituximab can get to its target. Some tumors might be really dense, or they might be in spots that are hard for the drug to reach.
I see. So even if the tumor has a ton of mesothelin, it might be tough for amituximab to get to it all. It just depends on the structure and where it is in the body.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the patient's own immune system.
Oh, right.
Amituximab needs the immune system to, kind of finish the job. So a healthy immune response can really help.
So it's kind of like a team effort. The drug and the body working together.
Yeah, exactly. That's why this whole personalized medicine thing is becoming so important in cancer treatment. It's all about making sure that the treatment fits each patient and their tumor.
Oh, okay. So instead of that one-size-fits-all approach, it's about figuring out those little differences and creating a plan that's just for them.
You got it. And amituximab is proving to be really helpful for that personalized approach, not just as a treatment itself, but also as a research tool. Remember we were talking about the biosimilar version before?
Yeah, the more affordable one that's helping open up new research, right?
That's it. So researchers are using that biosimilar to explore different ways to make amituximab even more effective. One really cool thing is that they're combining it with other therapies. Kind of like a tag team for fighting cancer.
Yeah, tag team. I like that.
Yeah.
So what other therapies are they thinking about using?
Well, one that's got everyone really excited is combining it with a type of immunotherapy. They're called checkpoint inhibitors.
Oh, yeah, I've heard of those. Those are the ones that, rev up the immune system, right?
Yeah, it's like they take the brakes off the immune system and it can attack those cancer cells much more aggressively. So the idea is if you combine amatuximab, which is like highlighting those cancer cells, with the checkpoint inhibitors, which are basically unleashing the immune system, you could really, really create a strong anti-cancer effect.
So it's like a 1-2 punch. First, you got to mark the target, and then you send in the big guns to take it out.
Exactly. And some early trials using this combo are showing some really encouraging stuff.
Wow, that's awesome. But I guess, like with any new treatment, there's still a lot of research that needs to be done before it becomes, the standard.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Researchers still need to, be really careful in evaluating the safety and how well these combinations work. They got to figure out the right doses and the treatment schedule and just make sure the benefits are bigger than any potential risks.
It sounds like really meticulous work.
Oh, it is. But it's really exciting, too. It kind of feels like we're on the edge of this whole new era of cancer treatment, where we can really tailor treatments to each person and we can get our immune systems to fight disease in a way we never could before.
It's like watching a revolution in medicine happen right in front of us.
I know, right?
Yeah?
And the research on amatuximab is a big part of that. It's not just giving us a new way to fight cancer right now. It's also creating the foundation for even better treatments down the road.
Yeah, it's really kind of mind-blowing when you think about how far we've come in understanding and treating cancer. It wasn't too long ago that our options were way more limited and the side effects were, well, they were brutal. It feels like we're really moving into this whole new world of like precision medicine.
You're right, and amatuximab is a perfect example of that. It's not just about attacking those cancer cells with everything we've got. It's more about like zeroing in on their weaknesses, using
Yeah.
the power of the immune system and making sure the treatment is just right for each person.
And the really exciting thing is that we're just getting started writing. There's still so much research going on with amatuximab. Scientists are looking for even more ways to make it work better and use it in even more ways.
Right. One thing they're really interested in is personalizing amatuximab treatment. Imagine, like, being able to figure out the best dose and the best schedule for each patient, based on their genes and what their tumor's like.
So we're moving away from that one-size-fits-all thing to something that's really made just for them.
Mm.
That's amazing.
It is. It's like getting a suit tailored just for you instead of buying one off the rack, The fit is going to be way better and it's going to look so much better on you.
And remember that amatuximab biosimilar we were talking about, that's really helping to speed up the research too. Since scientists have this more affordable tool to work with, they can do bigger studies, try more combinations, and really get that personalized approach dialed in.
For sure. It's like giving them this super powerful microscope. They can actually see all the tiny details of the cancer cells and how they react to amatuximab.
Wow, it's crazy to think about how detailed they can get now. It's like they're mapping out this whole battle plan at a microscopic level.
I like that. That's a great way to put it. And beyond just personalizing it, there's also research going on to make amatuximab itself even better. Scientists are looking at ways to change its structure, to make it even better at targeting those cancer cells and getting the immune system all fired up.
So it's not just about finding the right dose and the right combination, it's about improving the drug itself.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, you have this awesome weapon, and now you're making it even stronger and more precise.
Like we're in this arms race with cancer, right? We're always
Yeah.
coming up with better weapons to fight back.
And that's why all the research on amatuximab is so important. It's not just giving us this powerful tool to fight cancer today, it's also building the foundation for even better treatments in the future.
This has been a really fascinating deep dive. Amatuximab seems like it could be a huge breakthrough in how we treat cancer. It really shows you how smart and dedicated all those researchers around the world are. They're working so hard to find new ways to fight this disease.
It's a really inspiring story of scientific progress, for sure. And even though we still have a lot to learn, the early results are really, really promising.
They are. And if any of our listeners want to learn more about this, be sure to check out the stuff from Assay Genie. They have a ton of great info on amatuximab and all the research behind it.
And keep an eye out for updates on those clinical trials. It'll be interesting to see how this drug does in larger studies and, how it might change the way we treat cancer in the future.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be following all this. Until next time, everyone, stay curious, keep learning, and keep those brains working.